Thank you, Rick. Rick. Good morning, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful San Clemente. We're so glad you're here with us. Everyone's so quiet. I think they're in church. I don't know.
Arise, O people.
We'd like you to stand and join and sing along with Rick on our opening sing-along song called I'm Choosing Heaven Today, and hello out there in Cyberland for those of you that are joining us from your living rooms. Here we go. 1, 2.
What a good choice, Rick. Choosing heaven. Why not? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful San Clemente. And for you back east, I know who you are. We're having a nice, beautiful day, 65 degrees. It's lovely. So whoever you are, whatever path you're on, you're welcome here. We are a trans-denominational center, which simply means that we welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome some new guests this morning, Jenna, Daniel, and Shelley here for the first time. And so just, welcome home, welcome home. We start our service with the flames of faith. It is a call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence that we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and the practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and the path of peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner Faith Mackey lights that last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Well, I just noticed all the wonderful Valentine's Day decorations, and it reminds me that we're still in February. And what does that mean? February reminds us about love. Love is a month of February, just to remind us, because love is with us every day, not just in February. It's kind of like Christmas, where we're reminded of what we already are. So anyways, I'm here today to do an opening prayer. So let's just relax in our seats, just get comfortable, and just know that we're here on purpose. Each and every one of us are here together on purpose. And so what I know is that there is only one, and this one I call God, and God is right here, right now. God is everything that's good, peace, joy, love. God is power and abundance and beauty. God is everything good. And so what I know is that today, Reverend Alice is going to talk about forgiveness and about how important that is for us today. How important it is for us to remember how we shift and we change when we let go and let God, when we forgive what needs to be forgiven, that there's a sense of freedom for us. There's a wonderful sense of freedom that we can let go of anything that is keeping us in a lower vibration. So what I do today is I'm allowing you all to let go and let God and feel the love that is present. Feel the joy that is present. And I know that today is a wonderful talk and that there is something wonderful for each and every one of us. There is something good for each and every one of us to discover and to experience and to allow. And so I am grateful for all of us together today. I am so grateful for the presence of Spirit that is right here, right now. I am so grateful for the love that is felt and acknowledged and shared and experienced. And so I release this prayer into the law, knowing that it is done. And I anchor it by saying with each and every one of you, and so it is. Okay, so now I'm going to read the affirmation. And so, there, it's coming on the screen right now. There it is. I'm going to read it first, and then I'll have you read it with me. I forgive, and I am free, and so it is. So together, I forgive, and I am free, and so it is. Okay, so now I'm going to read the Declaration of Principles. I believe in God, the one creative intelligence operating through the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates on a law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to create health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, I rejoice in it, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Faith. And now it's my great joy to bring to the platform the Jewel Tones.
Yes, and this morning it is our women's ensemble from our Jewel Tones Choir. So I'm very honored that these ladies are we call them pandemic pods, you know. We have these smaller groups of singers that are, you know, have all been safe and following protocol and have been working diligently to provide you with some beautiful music. So this morning, we have from right in the hot pink over there, Miss Rita McPhail. Wave, Rita, wave. She's busy. She's doing stuff. And April Doterive, and Jamie Kalama, and Karen Meyer. And then I'll be piping in every once in a while from over here. And also, just wanted to introduce our bass player who is auditioning for us today is Leslie Baker. So that's our auditioner for the day. And we're going to start with a very well-known tune. If you feel like singing along, go for it. It's a Burt Bacharach, Hal David tune called What the World Needs Now Is Love, Sweet Love. Here we go. So grateful for them practicing and making music for you. How about one more hand for them? One more hand.
Good morning, everyone. Doing a little moving of the stage here. Drop in one of my quotes. Let me get that. That song, thank you so much. That was beautiful. Let's give him another hand. That song took me back to March. First, it took me back to riding in the car with my dad. And he would listen to a lot of Burt Bacharach. And I didn't really attribute that song to him, but you're right. But then I was remembering, it was like, I don't know, April 2020. We couldn't meet, and I was trying to become a techno broadcaster overnight. And I was searching the internet for music. You know, what music could I bring forward to and do you remember all the videos that people were producing? I mean, they were stunning. And there was this one where there were just all these shots of children, and they were singing that song in the background. And despite the fact that we were all isolated, it was a way to feel connected again. It was really amazing to me of the art and the creativity that came out of a time when we were so challenged, when we were all really suffering in our own way. We were confused. We didn't know what side was up. And yet, because I had this task of trying to create broadcasts online, because we couldn't meet in person, I got to see all these wonderful videos that people were putting together. And I felt uplifted and I felt blessed. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Diane. It's a nice memory to come back to right now. So I am Reverend Alice Reed, and I am the spiritual director here, and I'm really happy to be with you this morning. We are working with an annual theme of living everyday wonder. And I've said before, and I'll say again, that can sound a little airy-fairy, but it really is about going deeper. It's really going about beginning to touch that awe that we can find in the everyday. Because we need that. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot that gets my attention, and I need to be reminded that what's on the movie screen of my life, while it's important, while there are definitely people who are struggling and suffering and succeeding and living happily and all the things in between, that underneath all of that is the awe of life, is the miracle of life that is happening forever. So this month we're looking at the inner life. We're looking at the work that we have to do on the inside in order for us to really elevate ourselves to touch that deep mystery of life that is moving through all of us. And we started the month looking at the idea that we have to acknowledge that we have an experience of separateness. We teach a philosophy of oneness, but we experience separateness. It's pretty hard for me to, in this moment, in the busy hustle and bustle of the day, to feel like I'm one with Gina, because Gina's over there, right? And I'm up here. So the oneness is something we need to remind ourselves about. And so we talked about the fact that we needed to acknowledge our separateness, or the illusion of our separateness. And then Reverend Bruce so expertly spoke last week, wasn't he great? Yeah. He talked about pausing to get in touch with what it is we were experiencing that was causing us to feel so separate. And he gave us a lot of great tools. If you did not see his talk, I highly recommend going onto Facebook or YouTube and watching it. And today, I'm going to talk about forgiveness. It's okay, you can groan. you can forgiveness again? There's a saying, and it's in the Bible, and Peter walks up to Jesus, and he says, "How many times must I forgive?" And Jesus says, 70 times 7. And while it's not in the Bible, I'm pretty sure Peter said, "Oh, shit." Really? No, that can't be right. 70 times 7? No. God, you gotta be kidding me. He may have said, "Jesus Christ." I know I did when I heard it. I know I did when I heard it, because I was looking for that instant hit. You were going to give me that silver bullet, that magic wand that was going to free me, right? So all kidding aside, we come to forgiveness because we're in pain. We come to forgiveness because we're struggling, that there's something that keeps replaying in our hearts and our minds. And forgiveness just doesn't, if I come to you and I share my suffering with you and my broken heart, and you say, "Well, you just have to forgive." It doesn't land very well. No. It doesn't land very well at all. And yet, those of us that have struggled and found our way to forgiveness and gotten to the other side, we know. We know that there's real freedom on the other side of that. There's an old Irish joke about a tourist who's lost in the country roads of Ireland, and he's just frustrated and helpless, and he's driving through all these country roads, and he comes across an old Irishman, and he pulls over and he says, "Please help me, I'm trying to get to Dublin. How do I get there?" And the old Irishman looks at him, and he looks down one road, and he looks down the other road, and he says, "Laddie, you can't get here from there. You can't get there from here." You can't get there from here. And that little joke reminds me that when we are deep in pain, when we're deep in our suffering, forgiveness does not feel like the road to freedom. And in fact, doesn't feel like that's going to take me anywhere because I'm in my pain. We are a philosophy that teaches oneness. And oneness, again, just like our annual theme, can look a little bit like looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. It can look a little like, toxic positivity, right? You know what toxic positivity is? Right, it's that place we go to when we begin to, I have a flat tire, and then my dog dies, and then I lose my job, and then the love of my life walks out of me, and somebody walks up and says, "Oh, it's all good. It's all good. You'll be okay. It's happening for a reason." Oh my God. And I just want to say, all right, if you're honest with yourself, how many times have you used that? Because it was the only thing you could come up with, right? So I'm not putting us down for going to that place of wanting somebody to not be in pain, to want to help deliver somebody to the other side of what they're experiencing. But when you're in the midst of it, it doesn't feel like it's going to be all good. I have a group of colleagues, and we work on these themes together, and we share ideas, and so I got a couple of really great YouTubes this week about forgiveness that were a little out of the ordinary. And so I want to publicly thank Reverend Harriet, who is the minister at CSL Living Livermore. She gave us some great YouTubes about forgiveness, and I want to share the nuggets that came up. And one is from, she calls herself a Patrix. She's a Lutheran priest who's not your ordinary Lutheran priest. She's gay, she's tattooed, she wears ripped jeans and a tank top on Sunday mornings with a collar. With a collar. And her name is Nadia Boltz Weber, and her message is forgive I'm going to curse a little bit this morning, so just forgive the assholes. Forgive the assholes. What a relevant message. Like, there are people who would not even begin to walk up to the idea of forgiveness unless you speak to it in a way that they understand. And so she talks about this idea that when we have an experience of pain, when we have been harmed, we have a connection to the person that did us harm. It's like a chain. And forgiveness isn't some nice thing that we do because we're going to let them off the hook, and it's not some saccharine welcome mat that we lay out for someone. No, it's like, she says, it's a badass practice, not a nicey nice practice. And she says it's like taking bolt cutters and cutting that chain. A little different way to look at forgiveness, don't you think? Not your average messaging about forgiveness. And thank you, Reverend Nadia, for that, because we need to approach forgiveness from a different angle, because I don't know about you, but when I look around, I'm in judgment all the time about what's going on in the world. I'm just admitting it. You guys, you can all say you're not. You can all pretend that you're all love and light. But judgment comes up in me. And forgiveness is the practice that I can pull out of my hip pocket. I can remember that it isn't my job to judge that person. I can remember that really there's something that they're reflecting. There's something they're triggering in me. And ooh, there's the work. There's the work I have to do. What is it triggering in me? And when I can recognize that, then I can get out those bolt cutters and I can look for what chain it is that is connecting me to that trigger so that I can let it go. Reverend Susie Shadle liked to offer the practice that if you were really finding yourself struggling with forgiving people, that every time that you remember a new resentment, that you pick up a rock and put it in your pocket. Every time you have a judgment, that that politician that you're pretty sure is ruining the country, you have to pick up that rock, put it in your pocket. That relative that won't get off their soapbox, pick up a rock, put it in your pocket. And then walk around with the rocks until you're ready to let it go. Now, you're probably not going to do that. You might. If what is it going to take to break the chains? What is it going to take for us to recognize those places in us that stand like an obstacle towards the free-flowing love of spirit that just wants to pass through us, that just wants to experience life as us, that wants us to have that experience? What will we do so that we can first acknowledge what's standing obstacle in front of us and then begin to do whatever it takes, to do what resonates with us, to begin to lean into that practice of forgiveness. And whenever I do a talk on forgiveness, I feel compelled, because I don't know who's in the room, I don't know who's hearing me, and so I really feel compelled to just remind people that forgiveness is not excusing bad behavior. It's not acquiescent. Blah, blah. It's not giving in. It's not making it all right. It's freeing your heart so that you can love fully. There's a quote by a Christian mystic, and I really like this because it's a good reminder to me. I really only love God as much as I love the person I love the least. I really only love God as much as I love the person I love the least. That's Doris Day, who said that. Not Dorothy Day, not Doris Day. Dorothy Day. We all know who Doris Day is. Right. I also want to suggest that if you're really stuck, that sometimes leaning into the pain, giving whatever it is that you're struggling with voice, feeling the emotions can be very freeing. Not if you are recycling them. Not if you bring up that story and you tell it to everybody over and over again. That does not free us. But when we can begin to recognize that there's an emotion that we keep hitting, that's underneath whatever it is that we're dealing with, that's when we can begin to lean in. And so there's a wonderful woman who did a TED Talk, Olivia Porter. She's a speech pathologist. I guess I could use her. Olivia would do her work of speech pathology in a rescue home for women who were victims of domestic violence. And she found herself beginning to do this work of noticing, over and above what she was doing, she was volunteering and she was there to help these women to transition, to find their way back out into the community from a place of wholeness. And she does this workshop with them. And she notices that many of the women that are deep in the woundedness of their experience are full of hate. Right? Why wouldn't they be? The things that they have to go through. And so it occurred to her that it didn't make sense to come in and say, oh, it's all good. You're going to learn a lesson from this. You'll be better for this. Those were falling on deaf ears, and she knew this was not the way to meet these women. She needed to meet them where they were. And so I have to say, I was taken aback by this, but she began to use their hate. And I'm first hearing this, and I'm like, no, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. We don't give power to hate. But what she did is she recognized that there was some locomotive energy underneath that. And so she gave the example of a woman, we'll call her Kate, who was just really lost in her pain. And so she began to work with Kate and said, so tell me about your hate. Just tell me what it is. Why do you hate your husband? She said, I hate my husband because he molested my daughter. I hate my husband because he spent all the money that I had set aside for education for myself so I could go back to school and get a better job. And I hate my husband because he put me in the hospital. And she had so much energy around that. There was just no way for her to even consider forgiveness. So Olivia invited her to turn that hate upside down and to look at what it is she loved that was behind each one of those situations. She hated her husband because she loved her daughter. She hated her husband because she loved being educated. She hated her husband because she loved her health and her body temple. And so Olivia simply, and she noticed that when Kate began to get in touch with what she loved, her energy shifted. She began to calm down. Her handwriting was clearer. And so Olivia invited her to make those statements. I love my daughter. I love being educated. I love my health. To say those 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening so that she could begin to be transformed by love. It's a really powerful example. And hate is the last place that I would go to think about trying to get a chink in the armor for somebody who's wounded. But I think when I share that story with you, I think it's very illustrative to us as we look at our teaching of New Thought that has come up with this beautiful, powerful teaching about really knowing that our thoughts and our emotions create our reality. And oftentimes, when we're first learning about this teaching this philosophy of thought and the power of what we know and it creates by means of us, it's tempting to want to go right to the all good, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's really tempting to do that. It feels good. But what happens is we suppress. We end up suppressing those things that, whatever they are, big or small, y'all got them. You may not want to be admitted. Some of you have cleared them all. Maybe. I haven't. I'm still doing my work. I still get triggered. And all good feels good for a minute, but it's not sustainable. And so as we look at our teaching, what I want to offer you is this opportunity to see forgiveness as shadow work. It's the opportunity to bring light where you haven't shined light before. It's an opportunity for you to look at those places that at first seem overwhelming. The other thing I know about forgiveness is that it is indeed the pathway to love. And what I know about love is that it has to be invited. It never forces its way into our life. It simply invites us and draws us forward. And so if we can look at those places where, at the unforgivable in our life, if we can look at those places and trust that there's something here that wants to be teased out, so that we can experience the freedom of love that sifts through our life so beautifully that what comes out the other side is the purity of consciousness that creates our life beyond our wildest dreams. I have one quote that I want to share with you. We've been talking about grace in class this week, and there's this great quote from Joel Goldsmith, and what I want to say is that the result of forgiveness is a grace that invites love and clarity so that we can really live our life authentically. And so Joel Goldsmith says this: grace is a state of being which comes into active expression the moment consciousness has been purified. Just as the law of gravity comes into operation when an object has been dropped. The law of gravity is always present and in operation, but nothing happens until an object is released. It's about letting go. It's not hard, and it's not easy. It takes effort. It takes a choice. It takes willingness. And when we can be willing, and we can surrender, and we can lay it on the altar of our heart, I guarantee you will be met with whatever need, whatever resource it is to walk this out. Forgiveness is probably the most powerful practice that I have in my spiritual toolkit, because it always brings me back to love. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's take that energy that we have created this morning and this idea of forgiveness. You may even want to rub your hands together and feel the energy, and then place those hands on your heart. As I speak this affirmative prayer, I know that there is a divine intelligence that moves in, as, and through all life. That it animates itself as my body. It animates itself as my life. It animates itself as my community and my world. And I know that it expresses itself in so many billions of ways. And so I'm forever looking out into the world and seeing God, seeing Spirit over and over and over again. And so as I recognize this power and this presence that is me, that moves in the world as me, I absolutely trust that Spirit always supports its own creation, and that each step I take in the way of choices, in letting go, in releasing, in being willing to practice forgiveness in my life, I know that I am divinely supported, that I am not doing this alone. And I simply allow that power and that presence, that thing that animates the universe, to guide me, to direct me. And I say yes. Yes to freedom. Yes to love. Yes to power. And I allow that yes to absolutely help me walk this out. Whatever it is in front of me, whatever obstacle that I might find, I know that it simply dissolves because I am choosing love. And I choose it over and over again. And it is this choice, this beautiful choice, that I am forever grateful for. I know this for myself. I know this for all of us. It is the way. It is the way of love. And we simply allow this. We let this be so. And it is with a grateful heart that we anchor this prayer by saying together, and so it is. Thank you. And now it's time to bring up the amazing, the wonderful, the jewel tones.
Thank you, Reverend Alice. I'm gonna work on breaking my chains. That was a powerful talk. Thank you so much. And our lovely ladies, the Gems, are going to sing for you a song called Leading the Way. And talk about synchronicity. The opening lyric is, each day there are choices I have to make. Differing paths, which one will I take? How can I be sure which course leads me home? I can always trust Spirit and not feel alone. So our lovely ladies, ready? Here we go.
Each day there are choices I have to make, differing paths, which one will I take? How can I be sure which course leads me home? I can always trust Spirit and not feel alone. I won't let fear or doubt blind my sight, hinder my vision to see what is right. When I feel sweet forever, tomorrow and every day. With faith in the Spirit, all fears disappear. I'll keep moving forward, God's voice I will hear, leading the way, directing me home. Though I may stumble, God's presence is known, and light fills my being. I'm sure of my way, God loves me forever, always and every day.
Thank you. They are going to stay up there because they're going to be singing for offertory.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rita, April, Jamie, and Karen. Yay. It's time for our offering now. And I just want to let you know that there are baskets at each door, one here and two in the back, for your gift, and that this center is fully supported by your love and your gifts. And it's probably one of my most, what's the word I'm looking for? Powerful spiritual practices that I do is to tithe, because it proves itself to me over and over again, and it has for the last 30 years. So it's a wonderful spiritual practice. So let us say our offering together. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and it symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a rain strong. Just remember in the winter, far beneath the thin snow, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. Lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
The Gemstones.
Wow. Thank you so much. I can't really talk. That was beautiful. Thank you to the Jewel Tones and our wonderful Diane King Van, our music director, choir director. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I also want to thank our wonderful band, David Page, and our guest, bass player, Leslie Baker. Thank you, Leslie. At Cusby, we love our band. We're so very blessed. In the sound booth today, we have beautiful Mary Brogdon and beautiful Dave Friedman. On camera today, we have Clark, and thank you so much, Clark, for making us look so great. And our wonderful song leader, Rick Dale. We love him. We love him. And what? Who's a grandpa today. I'm sure he'll say something about it as he comes up. Let me just tell us who our practitioners are today. Sorry. That song just got me. We have Cheryl Lyman in the back, holding the high watch for each one of us during this service, which simply means that she has been praying for our open heart, our open mind to glean all the wisdom that we did during this service today. We also have Lori Ann Whitty, who is a practitioner today. Thank you, Lori Ann. And Faith Mackey, who did our opening prayer and affirmation. Thank you to our practitioners. And now we have some invitations by Rick Dale.
Granddad Dale here. Yes, little Kiara was born yesterday while I was at a gig. Babies keep coming. Okay, thank you. Invitations. You're invited. Next Sunday, please plan to attend in person or on Zoom the annual meeting of the membership. There is important business to present: the financial report, the proposed budget for 2022, and the election of 3 new members to the Board of Trustees. A light fare will be served for those who stay, so that's worth it right there. If you are a voting member and you cannot be here in person, I will eat your lunch. And please assign your proxy to our board secretary, Marge Hobbs, or to someone of your choice who will be here in person. Proxies were mailed to you at home, and there are some here as well. Our bookstore is undergoing a bit of a facelift. Inside, you'll find 2 table displays of greeting cards for all occasions, priced at just $1 each. Most of these cards were created by artists we know or have known in the past. In the foyer, you will see a book cart with used books for just 50 cents each, and there is a table of past issues of Science of Mind magazines, which are free for the taking. These magazines are loaded with inspirational articles. Take several and share with family and friends. It is a wonderful way to spread the good word about our Science of Mind philosophy. There will be Conscious Connection today at 12 noon right here in the sanctuary. Everyone is invited to join the conversation centered on today's message. During the week, there are 3 separate opportunities to connect with other like-minded souls for the purpose of sharing and caring in supportive group setting for learning and advancing in spiritual growth. These groups meet on Zoom, and the links can be found in our newsletters that are emailed twice a week. Everyone is welcome to join any or all of these groups. But wait, there's more. On Wednesday from 9:30 to 11 a.m., there is a book study facilitated by Mary Brogdon. The current book is Conversations with God, Book 2 by Neil Donald Walsh. On Thursday from 10:30 to 12:30, there is a discussion group called Shifting Sands. Facilitation of this group is shared by the members who volunteer to take the responsibility of choosing an interesting and usually informative as well as inspirational video to watch and discuss. Then on Friday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. there is Coming Home to Spirit, facilitated by Joyce Fournier. This group basically has no agenda other than sharing the challenges and the joys of life and to give and receive support. Last week we introduced the idea of having a game night perhaps once a month. The first one will be in March on a Friday night, yet to be determined. March was chosen because the theme for the whole month is play. There is a sign-up sheet on the kiosk for Mexican Train, Reverend Alice's favorite game. Is there tequila involved in that? No. 2 people signed up last week. Who else is in? Now, if dominoes is not your game, you are encouraged to nominate a game of your choice. We will put up additional sign-up sheets listing those games to see what kind of interest there may be. Let's all have some fun and play some touch football. And now, for the grand finale, I expect you to stand and sing lustily. I see you.
And so I see your light and I see your love, and so I encourage you, I invite you to look in the eyes of people you see today and see their light and see their love and see it reflected back to you. Namaste. Namaste.